I still want to ask those same questions to those countries. What is there? We're now 59. As Bong, as Lofa, as Nimba, as Granjig. What is there for us to show that we can be proud of? We're making progress, and we're regressing. The challenge is for us. Reverend Reese here. '59th National Unification Day Program, celebrated under the banner of the Better Future Foundation, in collaboration with the Kofi Annan Institute for Conflict Transformation of the University of Liberia. Youth Beyond Barriers and Partners for Democracy and Good Governance. We will now call for the invocation to formally start this program.
May we stand? Let's pray. Gracious God, we want to thank you for the aid. Thank you for your traveling mercy. Thank you for the food you provided for our tables this morning. Thank you for the interactions we had this morning with one another. Thank you for this meeting of unification. As we dialogue today, Father, we pray, the Lord, that you continue to keep us in your bound. For your will is that we should be united. Thank you that we should be united as a people, with one mind, one body, or one soul. Yes, we pray in your holy name. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend Tom.
So good morning, good afternoon, wherever you might be joining us from. My name is Prince Mova. This is the US-based Focus on Liberia in continuation.
I know it's always
the celebration of the National
the
Unification Day.
National anthem
This
at the
program
end of
is
programs.
organized
But because of
by
the
the
significance of this
Better
program,
Future
I simply want to
Foundation,
ask
Youth
that we
Beyond
stand in
Barriers,
unison,
and other partners.
sing the
In
national
commemoration
anthem
of
of
the
Liberia.
59th National Unification
And may
Day
I say,
held
just
here
the first
at the
concert
auditorium of the
of
University
the
of
national anthem of
Liberia,
Liberia,
up Capitol Hill, Monroe,
so
Liberia.
that
My name is
we
Prince Mo.
invite Liberia
Thanks for joining me. Of course, I'm going to be
this
here
wonderful gathering.
until
and
the
this
program
beautiful
ends. So do
celebration
join me. This is Focus on
this
Liberia, the
unification.
US-based.
Shall we please
Thanks for
stand?
joining.
The national anthem of Liberia. Oh, hail Liberia, hail.
That was the national anthem that Liberia being sung.
We pray that this hope of glorious liberty under God's command shall long be ours. It is my pleasure to kindly invite our extreme veteran educator, peace builder, and friend, Dr. D. Evelyn S. Kandakai, to give us the welcome remarks.
Thank you, Mr. MC. Greetings to everyone. Officials of government, excellencies, organizers of this program, faculty, staff, students of this great university, ladies and gentlemen, and members of the press. Today, we gather here to celebrate the 59th anniversary of the declaration of our National Unification Policy. I want to thank each and every one of you and welcome you for being here. I would like us to consider, as we gather here, under the auspices of the Better Future Foundation, in collaboration with the Kofi Annan Institute for Conflict Transformation of the University of Liberia, Youth Beyond Barriers, and Partners for Democracy and Good Governance, several constructs. These constructs I wish you to examine in line with the National Declaration of Unification, as was just said by Professor in 1964. The first one I would like you to think about is the construct of time. Time. 59 years later, where are we? In consideration of that, we are in the 21st century, and we need to think about that in line with our national unification policy. I also want us to consider, as I welcome you here in this forum, icons of this policy. We talked about the 5 counties, but there were great minds, proponents of this fine national policy. William V.S. Tubman is a case. Over the years, we've also had other people who stood and went out of their way to promote national unification. I want to offer you the great president of this university, Dr. Mary Anthony Brown Sherman. Also, Honorable Baiti Moore, who served as late Honorable Baiti Moore, who served as a Deputy Minister for Culture, Information and Culture in our country. And I put to you that the chief proponent of this program today is also the Reverend Ambassador Augustine Akwe, is also an icon for our consideration. I'm sure there are many others among us. I also want us to examine education. How does education factor in our National Declaration of Unification? And in connection with that, gender transformation. How far have we taken gender transformation with respect to national unification? As we start to dig deep, we want to think about religion. And while you are thinking about religion in as a variable in respect to national unification, let us also consider peace, let us consider justice and security in our country. Lastly, and there are many other factors, really, but lastly, we have on hand in October that we are all charged about national elections. How far are our achievements vis-a-vis national unification and national elections? Ladies and gentlemen, as we welcome you to this occasion, we wish that we will have the best that our esteemed panelists and guest speakers, what have you, will have to offer. And that when we leave from here, we will all be those icons that I talked about at the onset. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Dr. Kanakai. If anyone thinks you welcome, please know that you are most welcome. And I think she covered all of the scope. You see, that's one of my big limitations. All these things about protocol and so, Ambassador, I need to come to your school so you can. Okay. But thank you, Dr. Kanakai. That was really, really good. And I want to add my voice on behalf of the President of the University, Dr. Julius Howland Nelson, who would really love to be here. His Vice President is here, who will be a member of the panel. He wants me to extend his warmest felicitations. Really wish us a wonderful honoring of National Unification Day. At this point, it's a pleasure to invite the Reverend Augustine S. Akoi, who is the founder president of Better Future Foundation, who will give us an overview of the occasion and why we are here. Reverend Akoi, are you here?
Thank you very much, Prof. Cindy. Happy Unification Day. Most certainly, for anyone that knows Liberia, you will agree with me that a day is not enough to reconcile and unite us. I don't know who disagree with me. So we are very grateful to the diplomatic community, our international partners, the EU head of delegation, His Excellency Ambassador Ross, for taking this kind of precious time to come and identify with the people of Liberia. Also, our own good friend, the Ambassador of Sweden. The other day I was checking, he was somewhere. Another time he was in the Southeast. I don't know how he managed all of that. But Ambassador, we hear a lot in the communities. Liberians are really talking about the Swedish government intervention here. Just want you to know that. And you're coming here again today. We are so grateful. Yeah. So we have a lot of distinguished people here today. The government of Liberia is represented in this hall by the Peace Ambassador of the Republic of Liberia, Ambassador Eric Kofi, is here in the hall with us. He's been here quiet, but that's our Peace Ambassador. He's here representing the government of Liberia. And also, this meeting, this is National Unification Day, is a meeting for everybody. So everyone should be here. We invited political parties, we invited everyone. This is a day that we need to break barriers. Political barriers, travel barriers, poverty barriers, whatever barrier that will keep this country stagnant. This is the day we use to break those barriers. So please look by your side and tell someone, it is well for Liberia. Happy Unification Day. We also have the Council of Churches. Liberia Council of Churches is represented here by the Secretary General, Reverend Christopher Toh. He's here in the hall. And also the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. The man who incubated, started that, and became the first commissioner of it. Reverend Ambassador Gerald Coleman is also here. So it's a real great day. And also we invited our political leaders. They are also here. I see Alan Brown. We are so grateful. Right now, people don't vote. We say, to look for other things, maybe vote also. But today you came here. We appreciate your presence here, identifying with the people of Liberia. And he's accompanied by his chairman. That's the Liberia Restoration Party. We invited the political parties, even the Unity Party. I met the Secretary General. He has showed me that they were going to be here. So what we do here is what we do to bring Liberians together. So that's what we're doing here. And in the audience, we have a lot of distinguished people, leaders of the civil society, executive directors. They are here in the audience. I can't call all of their names right now. Just wave your hand. I don't even want to wave your hand. Please wave your hand. We can write from Tribe. It's one of our partners, and also from the ECOWAS member states that are residing here, citizens of ECOWAS that are residing in Liberia. They are community chairmen. They call themselves community. Their chairmen are also here in the audience. So whenever there is a breakdown or lunch or whatsoever, just walk up. Anyone you talk to here is somebody. Don't take anybody here for granted. So thank you very much. So now to the overview or purpose of this occasion. 59 years ago in 1964, Liberia's 19th President William V.S. Tubman initiated the National Unification and Integration Policy to reduce the social and political differences between the American Liberians and the indigenous Liberians. The National Legislature then enacted an act to proclaim 14 May as National Unification Day to be observed as a holiday, and to create 4 additional counties. So the Unification Day policy gave rise to 4 counties, and those are Bong County, Grand Julia County, Lofa County, and Nima County, and their subsequent integration into the Republic of Liberia under one system of governance. Beginning in 2014, the Better Future Foundation and its collaborating institution embarked on spearheading an annual celebration of National Unification Day, referred to as NUD, in recognition of the shared desire to create national awareness and rally public support for genuine national healing, peace, unification, and development. But the question is, who has carried on the challenge of uniting Liberians or ensuring that unity reigns amongst Liberians and all residents in the country without reservation, and for prosperity in all these years following the unification policy? Can you name one person or institution, a Liberian or a foreign resident or institution, since the end of the war in 2003 that you can justify has contributed the most in trying to ensure that Liberians must reconcile, remain united and peaceful? That person or institution, after thorough and meticulous vetting, will become our national unification hero or heroine for the first time ever during the 60th celebration of the National Unification Day. This is the 59th. So next year will be the 60th. So the task, one of the key things, the task for all of us here is that there are Liberians that are contributing and nobody gets to hear of them. And they will never be heard of. So this program will be going across the country to identify those who are contributing to peace, and we will bring them in Monrovia and honor them as we call National Unification Hero. If it's a woman, it will be the heroine. The purpose of the National Unification Hero Award is to recognize and reward the hard work and outstanding contribution of volunteers and professionals in reconciliation, peacemaking, peace building, mediation, and unification in any form or manner. Through a competitive and transparent process, the scheme will annually identify persons and institutions and honor them based on their proven commitment and industry which have contributed towards improving the state of reconciliation, unity, and peace in Liberia and extendedly in the sub-region. We see such an initiative as a significant step in recognizing, appreciating, and motivating those who devote time and energy in ensuring peace reigns in Liberia. This will certainly impact positively on reconciliation, unification, and peace building in Liberia. So the objective for us doing it is to recognize and celebrate excellence in fostering national unification and leadership, to acknowledge the sacrifices and devotion of unity and peace in transforming the lives of Liberians and foreign residents in Liberia, to promote unity, reconciliation, and national healing and renewal, to build the culture of social unity and togetherness. And the vision for this initiative is to create an enabling environment for motivated, committed, dedicated, united, and reconciled champions to ensure holistic development of Liberia through peaceful coexistence. So the categories of award we consider, there shall be 2 categories of awards: the National Unification Hero or Heroine Award and the Regional Unification Hero Award. There shall be 4 regional awards. We will cluster the counties into 4. Liberia, the 15 counties, will cluster into 4. The regional award shall be demarcated in the following region. Region 1, Bomi, Grand Cape, Bakolu, and Mosorado will be one of the regions. Region 2 will consist of Gong County, Lofa County, Maldibi, and Lima. Region 3 will consist of Grand Bassa, Grand Cruz, Riverside, and Sinai. And Region 4 will consist of Grand Jida, Maryland, Lima, and Riverside. So the rationale, the Regional Unification Hero Award or Regional Unification Hero Award of the year is given to a person or institution for a unique and outstanding contribution to regional unification and peace. Winners of the 4 regions shall be vetted for the National Award. The National Unification Hero Award, the National Unification Hero Award of the year is considered the most prestigious prize. The winner is selected from among the 4 regional winners. The application process. Please send your entry to the Liberia National Unification Hero and Heroine Committee, given the 4 need, gender, age, county or country of origin, and detailed narrative of the activities conducted and where conducted with outcomes and references, if possible. Remember to include your contact numbers and email address. So the detailed information, are there. The committee will scrutinize and evaluate evidence of work submitted and vote upon it. Submission received shall be placed in a region in which the activities were conducted. The quorum for voting upon the selected decision shall be minimum of 5 committee members and a simple majority winner. In case of a tie in a regional award, the superintendent, or in his or her absence, the development superintendent of the whole city will break the tie. And in case of national award, it will be shared between the 2 winners. So the composition of the committee, we are very blessed to have our own mother and great educator of this country, Dr. Evelyn Kanakai, is heading our committee. Professor T. Davidson, involved with conflict analysis, is also on the committee. Sister Mary Lauren Brown is also on the committee. And I was also selected to be on the committee. And Eden Massa Green is also on the committee. Dr. Charles Borry is also on the committee. And one of our peace activists, Asatu Taakane, is also on the committee. So the first Liberia National Unification Hero Award will be officially given out at the formal program to celebrate the 60th National Unification Day in Monrovia on May 14, 2024. Good enough, it will be on a Monday. Next year, it will be on a Monday. Before then, the National Unification Hero Award Committee will work with regional subcommittees and county authorities to conduct the regional awards in the respective region. The committee will issue a calendar of events. So this, of course, has a cost and will be solicited, and we encourage Liberians to support this process because with all the support our international partners continue to give us, nothing is going to be sustained unless we Liberians take ownership. This is the most critical part. So we are happy that we hope that the political parties can also be, especially this election that coming, we're going to be observing the civil society. We will be observing the activities of the political parties. How your messages will not bring further division. Because right now in the country, before I take my seat, we have evidence. We have evidence that communities that were peacefully coexisting, people who live in the community more than 20, 30 years, peacefully, after campaign activities, because they did not support a particular candidate, they go after them with political reprisal, and they have to migrate to move to another community. That's how far our political activities is going. So the civil society is going to be taking stock of the political campaign activities. Those who will campaign in a manner and form that will even bring more unity where communities are divided. Your campaign activities unite and unify the people. Those are the things that we'll be looking out for. So we are happy that the political institutions are represented here. Honorable Brown, we hope that you will be a valuable partner to this process.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
That was a wonderful overview. You know, when they started talking about this, I got so selfish. You know human nature, right? We all have a little bit of selfishness inside, right? As human. I said, no, I don't want to be on the committee, just in case somebody wants to select me. But that's fine. What we do, we don't do for recognition. We do for the good of Mama Liberia. I do not see is there a proxy for Madam Lydia Latsana. All right. Oh. Okay. Just before we go to this very important segment of the program about, that is the launch of the National Unification Day Award. I just wanted to also punch in here. One of the things National Unification did in Liberia today, whether people recognize it, whether people realize it, just go a step of any Liberian. Before you move from here over there, that person is related to somebody that you may be related to. Are you alive? So this country, if we really capture those moments well, all this thing about tension and fighting would be very minimized. I mean, as people, I'm from a conflict science background, there will no time be when conflict is completely eliminated among people. It will always be there, but it will be manageable and it will be minimized. Do you know that in this country, there were ethnic groups that had special bonds, special ties, that determine how they live together, work together, and solve problems? For instance, the Lama, Kisi, and the Pella on one hand, the Lama, Bandi, and Pella on one hand, and the Kisis on the other. They refer to each other as uncles, nephews, and aunties, and what have you. Among those people, in what I call the yesterday Liberia, you will never find a conflict between them that went to court. They had means of settling those matters. You can't say this to your uncle, somebody you've never met, somebody you don't know, but as long as they were from that ethnic group, and you were from this ethnic group, they were your uncle. And that relationship was supposed to bind you people, and there were certain requirements in the way you related to each other. Did you know that the crowns and the belly call each other Dodi? Dodi. That meant I will never see your blood. The implication being I will never hurt you, and I will never be there for somebody to hurt you. So we protect each other. So people from those ethnic groups who live and work together freely without fear of anyone hurting the other. Today, where have Liberians lost those values? Where? What happened? Again, I'm just going to leave that open for you. Why we will skip the goodwill message from our dear chair of the Elections Commission, Honorable Delieta Brown-Lasana. We are going to be calling on the proxy for the Honorable Minister of Internal Affairs, in person of Honorable Kofi, who will come. Will they do this together? The lunch and the co-luncheon? I'll just organize. They will do it separately? Okay. All right. So Eric Kofi, Acting Peace Ambassador of the Republic of Liberia, representing the Minister of Internal Affairs, will kindly do the launch of the National Unification Award. Mr. Kofi, thank you.
Thank you ever so much. At this time, I'd like to please ask to stand on existing protocols. Good afternoon to all. And thank you all so very much for accepting us here today. It's always wonderful being back here. This is my alma mater, and it means so much to me. I'm delighted to have this opportunity to launch the National Unification Day Award on behalf of the Minister of Internal Affairs, Honorable Vani A. Sirleaf, who happens to be on another engagement. This is going to be a very short remark because the National Unification Day should remind Liberians to remember what we what we hold in common, and not to dwell on how we disagree. There's too much violence and hate in our country, and too little trust and common ground among ourselves nowadays. It can sometimes feel impossible to hold the conversations we need to have to fix what is broken. And despite the many gains we've made since the war, there still seems to be a lot of work to do. We should stand firm against any attempt to roll back the clock on the rights and opportunities that so many sacrifice so much to secure. And all of that starts with doing a better job of listening to each other in order to help unify our country. I hold the conviction that we are stronger together, not separated into factions or sides, or not shouting over each other. Our economy can become stronger when everybody contributes to it and everyone can benefit from the work we do. Our communities can be stronger when we all pull together to solve our problems and restore our faith in each other. We must reject violence in all forms and continue to promote tolerance, peace, and unity. This, I believe, are true tenets of democracy. Thank you all so much for contributing to the peace and stability of our country. And at this juncture, I now declare the National Unification Day Hero Award open. Thank you so very much.
All right, so if you're just joining us, this is Focus on Liberia TV. We are here we are in the auditorium of the University of Liberia. This program is in continuation of the celebration of the 59th National Unification Day here in Liberia. And this program was organized by the Beneficial Foundation in collaboration with Youth Beyond Barriers. And of course, other partners, you have the president of the Swedish ambassador here, the EU ambassador, other political actors, former Education Minister Dr. Evelyn Katakai also here. So keep following us. This is Focus on Liberia. My name is Prince Moba. I'm here to bring this program live to you. If you join us from any part of the world, this is Monrovia, Liberia. This is Capitol Hill, where the University of Liberia is situated. This is the auditorium of the University of Liberia. And of course, there's some consultation going there with Mr. Ekosin S. Akoi and Dr. Evelyn Katakai, former education minister there.
But we are at the peak. It's a very important part of this program. And it's a pleasure to call Ambassador Galalush, head of delegation of the European Union to Liberia, who have so kindly accepted to provide a keynote address for this very special and important occasion. Ambassador, you're welcome.
All right, Ambassador Delaru, head of delegation.
For the press, may I please let you know there are copies of Ambassador's speech, so we will give it to press people. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, please allow me to stand on existing protocol. I appreciate... No, don't stand. I'm standing on protocol. I appreciate You're making us laugh. But more than that, I appreciate your invitation today for the celebration of Liberia's 59th Unification Day. I want to thank the Better Future Foundation, the Kofi Annan Institute for Conflict Transformation of the University of Liberia, Youth Beyond Barriers, and all civil society organizations under the umbrella of Partners for Democracy and Good Governance, for having thought of me as the ambassador of the European Union, and my dear friend and colleague, the ambassador of Sweden, to give a few remarks before the civil dialogue that will follow. The European Union, and I'm mostly going to talk about the European Union, was built on the same concepts of unification and integration that you celebrate today, 59 years after the formal launch of the unification policy by President William V.S. Tubman. Unification and integration were the driving force and the ultimate goal of the movement set forth in Europe by the Schuman Declaration that we celebrated ourselves a week ago on the 9th of May, Europe Day. What a happy coincidence that Europe Day and Liberia's Unification Day fall within the same week, although separated by 14 years, because indeed on the 9th of May 1950, Robert Schuman, then the Minister of Foreign Affairs of France, presented a vision for a united and peaceful Europe. The continent was barely emerging from the deadliest conflict of human history, World War II, which killed 80 million people. Schuman proposed that France and Germany merge their industries of coal and steel and be joined by other countries. I quote some excerpts from the declaration. A united Europe was not achieved, and we had war, wrote Minister Schuman. The French government proposes that Franco-German production of coal and steel as a whole be placed under a common high authority within the framework of an organization open to the participation of other countries of Europe. The pooling of coal and steel production should immediately provide for the setting up of common foundations for economic development as a first step in the federation of Europe, and will change the destinies of those regions which have long been devoted to the manufacture of munitions of war, of which they have been the most constant victims. The solidarity in production thus established will make it plain that any war between France and Germany becomes not merely unthinkable, but materially impossible. End of quote. These 5 paragraphs, I only read 2.5 of them, contain all the components of what is today the European Union. An objective of peace, a progressive process of economic integration within an organization driven by specific institutions and open to all European countries, the principle of solidarity, a focus on the regional components of the member counties, all was said from the onset of the European unification and integration process. In 1951, following the Schuman Declaration, a treaty was signed establishing the European Coal and Steel Community. It was signed by 6 founding states: Belgium, the Federal Republic of Germany, France, Italy, Luxembourg, and the Netherlands. It provided for the creation of the first supranational European organization, the European Coal and Steel Community. While the immediate objective of this first treaty was to establish a common market for coal and steel, it also aimed to lay the foundations of an economic community that would gradually become a political union. In 1957, the 6 member states decided to establish an economic community based on the free movement of workers, goods, and services. That year, 1957, they signed the Treaty of Rome, and the European Economic Community, EEC, was founded in order to establish economic unity in other sectors besides coal and steel. The main goal of the EEC was to set a common market with the free movement of goods, workers, services, and capitals within a customs union with common tariffs for imported goods, so finally to reach political integration. Similar to this European Economic Community, the European Atomic Energy Community, Euratom, was established also by the Treaty of Rome to coordinate the research programs of member states to ensure that the use of nuclear energy is safe and limited with peaceful purposes. In 1967, a merger treaty was signed which combined the 3 communities, coal and steel, economic, and atom, and set out single institutions, a single council, and a single commission for all of these. Since then, these communities were named as the European communities. Where are we today in this process? Throughout successive enlargements and treaty reforms, the European communities have become the European Union with 27 member states. The United Kingdom was the 28th, but they decided to pull out with Brexit. And the EU today has a population of 450 million inhabitants. In terms of the economy, the European process has met with tremendous success, with a gross domestic product this year close to 18 trillion US dollars. The EU is the 3rd most powerful economy in the world, after the United States of America, which are quite far ahead with a GDP of $27 trillion, and second to China, close ahead with $19 trillion. So in terms of economic power, the first is the USA with $27 trillion, second is China with 19, third is the EU with 18. The EU is the most integrated regional organization in the world. It has developed a vast set of common policies, from agriculture to citizenship, from justice to foreign policy, from regional integration to international development cooperation. Some countries have decided even more integrated policies within the framework of the European Union. They are called enhanced cooperations. With the Schengen policy associating 23 EU countries and 4 outside, Norway, Iceland, Switzerland, and Liechtenstein, people travel from one country to another without border controls. Cars don't even stop at the border on motorways. You do not feel that there is a border between these 27 countries. With the euro, the same currency is used in 20 of the 27 member states. With the recent decision on free cell phone roaming, you can use the national plan at national cost all across Europe without having to pay roaming charges. This makes a huge difference for consumers, I can tell you. The process towards unification and integration has been active and successful. New countries have regularly become members of the EU, and since most of them were not as rich and developed as the first members, they have benefited from special EU policies to catch up with the others. The main instrument of this catch-up has been the cohesion policy which is the EU's main investment policy. It targets all regions and cities across the European Union in order to support job creation, business competitiveness, economic growth, sustainable development, and improve citizens' quality of life and adaptation to climate change. In order to reach these goals and address the diverse development needs in all EU regions, an amount of 392 billion euros, that is 426 billion US dollars at yesterday's exchange rate, almost a third of the total EU budget, has been set aside for the cohesion policy for 2021 to 2027, with national co-financing by member states. Almost 600 billion US dollars will be available to finance the programs in the EU regions and countries. If you travel today in countries like Portugal or Poland, after having been there a few years ago before they acceded, which is 1986 for Portugal and 2005 for Poland, you would not recognize these countries. They have motorways and fast trains and modern factories and climate-smart buildings and fantastic shopping malls that are the results of the cohesion policy. Unification and integration policies have succeeded, and they have transformed many European countries. At the same time, Europe has been very careful to respect the national identity of its member states. Public policies like education and culture have remained in the hands of national governments to decide. Frequent public opinion polls have shown that European citizens are deeply attached to their national identities and cultural specificities. This has shaped the motto of the European Union, which is, since 2000, united in diversity. United in diversity. Now, what inspiration can this unification and integration process within the European Union bring to other countries and regional organizations? The success of the EU integration process has been the result of a combination of factors: a post-war historic moment and the need for peace, strong political will from the government, support of the citizens of European countries, and economic growth generating the necessary financial resources. When any of these elements was lacking, the process experienced difficulties. In 2005, the citizens of two founding states, France and the Netherlands, voted against a proposed new treaty, the European Constitution. A movement of EU fatigue was developing in some countries with economic hardships. This European Constitution project had to be altered and renamed the Treaty of Lisbon for it to be ratified, and in France it was ratified by the Parliament, not by a referendum. On the other hand, the unprovoked and unwarranted attack on Ukraine by Russia has had for effect to increase support of European citizens for the EU and to strengthen solidarity among European member states, probably the opposite of what war criminal Putin expected, including the extension of NATO to countries like Sweden and Finland. The opposite of what war criminal Putin expected. War criminal Putin. What I want to stress through these examples is that a regional unification and integration process demands hard work, strong commitment and political will, constant public support, and a solid economic base to generate openness among partners rather than fall back on national interests. Brexit shows what can happen when a doubtful population is hijacked by a deceitful political campaign of disinformation. Your own regional organization, ECOWAS, has made important progress since its inception in 1975. Its arbitration role in regional conflicts through ECOMOG has facilitated peace here in Liberia, as well as in Sierra Leone and other countries. The Non-Aggression Treaty, signed in 1976 by the member states of ECOWAS, has promoted peace in West Africa. The creation of the West African Power Pool has allowed for the development of the CNSG, Côte d'Ivoire, Liberia, Sierra Leone, Guinea power line that now feeds Liberia with electricity in the dry season when the Mount Kofi hydropower delivery is at its lowest. ECOWAS has ensured free mobility of people, goods and services, and a roadmap has been adopted for the launch of a common currency, the ECO, in 2027. Much remains to be done to reach the full potential of economic cooperation in the region. As for Liberia, the unification and integration policy has inspired the successive governments to give equal rights and opportunities to all Liberians. The focus of many government policies has been put on the less fortunate, as is the inspiration behind the current administration's pro-poor agenda for prosperity and development. International partners have brought enthusiastic support to these policies. It is now for Liberians to appreciate the measure in which targets and objectives have been met. In this pre-election period, it is for Liberian registered voters to reflect on their political preferences and on the choice of the candidates best suited to deliver on their needs and expectations. It is for Liberians, with their vote later on 10th October this year, to map the future of this unification and integration policy, which has transformed Liberia from a post-colonial state to a land of democracy, human rights and progress, where no one is left behind. I thank you.
I think we can do better than that.
All right, so that was a powerful keynote address there by the head of delegation of the EU delegation in Liberia. They're speaking. Very powerful speech by him. Of course, this is focus on Liberia. My name is Prince Moreover, and of course, we are here at the auditorium of the University of Liberia. Follow me. Just listen to the keynote address of this program.
Dr. Bell, you speak many times. One thing is very central when you speak to Liberians. You package a number of the good examples European unification has brought to what makes Europe today. The flight. A lot of people wanting to leave the there. and you continue to say to us, you can do it here. You can be as strong. You can be as developed if you just follow this path. There's no magical formula about it. Thank you for your constant reminder. If I were a journalist, I picked up unity in diversity. I pick up strong political will, which gives rise to effective people's support. I picked up job creation as a result of strong economy, diversified development, and I would have named things that I picked up from this statement, Ambassador. Thank you so much. Let's give Ambassador a hand. We are going to go straight into the panel discussion, and I'm inviting our panelists to please join the table. I think those who are already here can just stay where they are. And we have, for the panel discussion, an absentee called Team the BCD who will not be here from him in moderation. But we also have Associate Professor Sekou Kone. Yes, can you please come forward? All right. We also have our dear Ambassador Durin from Sweden, who is already at the table. And we are going to have Professor Adam M. Kine. Professor Kine is from the Adam M. Kine Collegiate Research Center, who we have asked, yes, please join that table right there. We have Alhaji Abraham Foma Sharif. Oh, sorry. That's the panel. Sorry. I'm going somewhere else. All right. So Ambassador Kine, our Swedish Ambassador, Professor Kone, and yeah, that's the panel, right? Okay. All right. So, panelists, you have, and I'm very strict on time. As you know, I'm a Liberian, and Liberians are time conscious. You can clap for that? Okay. So we're going to allow you to make your intro statements of about between 5 to 7 minutes. And then we will have a little bit of engagement. And then we will turn to the audience, and then we will close. We'll try to wrap this up as quickly as possible, but keeping serious and important things where they should be. So thank you very much. Can I start with you, Professor Kone? So please kick off our panel discussion. Thank you. Professor Kone is Vice President of the University of Liberia, and he is the father of the 20,000 students on this campus. The one that can throw stones, the one that can study their lessons, the one that can stay here for 15 years, he is their father. Thank you, Professor Annan.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. When I hear that this man is responsible for 20,000 students, I subtract the stone-throwing students. I'm talking about those who are prepared for constructive engagement. So thank you for the opportunity. And basically, I just want to flag a few points up before we can get into the actual discussion. Liberia, as you are aware, has numerous socio-economic challenges. We'll break that down for our understanding. Our country, especially given the years of fratricidal war we've come through, has even worsened our situation. I'll flag a few points. One is the issue of poverty. Poverty is a key challenge for us. And many people, when we talk about poverty, they only think about urban areas, they talk about Monrovia. But I'm one of the privileged Liberians who've had the opportunity of visiting the 15 counties of Liberia and working in those areas. And I've seen poverty with my naked eyes. I've seen what is poverty. I've gone to school where students are sitting on bricks. I've gone to school, visit schools where the first year I visited the senior class president. When I visited the school the second year, he was the senior class sponsor. So you can imagine, he was a year senior class president, he was in the 12th grade. The following year when I got there, he was the sponsor of that senior class. In the absence of the competent, qualified, the available in those areas become the competent ones. We talk about infrastructure in its holistic context. It's a serious problem, even if you look on the campus of the university where I work. We have huge challenges in this university that have been existing from time immemorial. It's just talking about computer education. So you imagine, that's why we introduced online learning. It became a huge challenge because the students felt that was a problem for them. And some of the faculty, especially old ones, felt that we created an opportunity to take them off job because they don't have computer knowledge. Some of them were born before computers. Then, of course, cardinal in the challenges we're talking about the issue of corruption. And corruption in all its spheres, we're talking about corruption. Now, begin with our own sector. Corruption in schools is a major problem. We're investigating, for example, the faculty right now who decided to set his own benchmark for passing his test. But it's just the tip of the iceberg, but we must try to root out these things because it's all around our country. In the primary school, secondary school, in the university, it's even worse, you know. Corruption. And when I say corruption, I'm referring to the government, I'm referring to political parties, because they are government in waiting. If in your own structure, you don't have a structure that will root out corruption, that will show that when you take power, you're going to change things, then it means, so when we talk about corruption, we're not just referring to government corruption. We are talking about corruption even in our schools here. I've always said to the students, most of the people who are ministers over there, and you're accusing them today of being corrupt, came from here. They were under the palaver out there with the same battle cries, the quiz, today they over there, they forgot what they, so you talk about downtrodden masses. They came from here, so we need to look at it from, that perspective too. Talk about corruption, sorry. Education. Education is a huge challenge for us. we're not just talking about education, but we're talking about quality education, right? While you have a second grader in one school with a different program and a second grader in another school, you know, and I must admit here, when our mother here was Minister of Education, I remember her walking to me at the school I used to be principal of and say, look, you have changed the dynamics of things here, because students used to be all around the street up to 9 o'clock. But when I took over, we changed the time. And the discipline we had in place, it was like track and field from the Ministry of Education on Broad Street to Macklin Street School. They were running because they knew what was there. So we need to strengthen, you know, the educational system, not just in terms of what we just pronounce, but in terms of the reality. Because anybody can just open school today. But what is standard? Are we monitoring what is happening in those schools? Having said this, we also have very good prospects. Let us not just look at the negatives, let's look at the positive. Liberia is rich in natural resources. So we shouldn't be in this kind of situation today. So what are we doing with our natural resources? Where is it going? Is it just with individuals, or is the community benefiting from what is happening in it? Tourism. Liberia is rich culturally. Look at our Providence Island. If we put this Providence Island in the proper perspective, we'll have tourists floating in here, right? It's a good prospect for us. Youth population. Liberia has a huge population of young people. It's a very good for us, very good prospect for us. If we utilize, if we make use, if we provide them the opportunities that require of them to be able to harness their talents, we think, you know, we shouldn't be having much issue as we are having now. We'll talk about, maybe lastly, regional integration. You have ECOWAS, you have the Manoroa Union. I mean, there are better prospects. Now we have what we call people to be able to do cross-border interaction, dialogue, and even job opportunities in those areas. So I'll stop here, and as we continue our discussion, we'll flag out some of the issues. Thank you.
Unity in diversity. We come together and that becomes a win-win. Sweden joined 95. We joined rather late, but we have really seen the gains of coming together, and Liberia can really come together. I also wanted to highlight that this year is important because it's election, but this year, in August, it's also 20 years since the Accra Peace Agreement. That is something to really celebrate. 20 years of peace and stability. As a development partner, well done, Liberia. You're a role model for countries in the region and in the world.